Why is it default?
Okay. Should be working now. Hopefully folks can hear me now. I don't know why the settings keep changing. I don't know why that goes on. Okay, woo! Hey folks, hope you're doing well. All right. Hey everybody. Hey Carowin, Gozer, Pirates, Cappuccino Crafts, Emily, Vacuum of Comments, Homebody, Bruce Simmons, Black Cover, Adeline, Rowan, Justin, Kara. I won't catch everybody. Mr. Nameless Mr. Nameless Purposeless the 7th. That's a unique one. Knit and Crochet Tiger, Logan. Good to see you all. I hope people are having a nice day. Mine's been okay. I started the day by mowing the lawn, which, isn't my favorite thing to do at the best of times, except it was a little bit worse this time. So, there was a thing encouraged for Vermont residents this year to engage in No Mow May, to not mow your lawns in the month of May to give better access to flowers to the local bee population, which I did engage in. However, that meant that mowing it today, which is technically still May, but I've got a lot to do tomorrow, so I did it today. So I have a lawnmower that it fills up the bag with the clippings. Normally, I empty the bag twice dealing with the whole lawn. I emptied it out 4 times just dealing with the front portion of the lawn. Yeah, it was a lot. And I had to hit it with the weed whacker first because the lawnmower couldn't handle with how long it was. When's my surgery? I should clarify on that. Facial hair removal, that's not surgery. It's not a surgical procedure. So I'm not getting a surgery. I don't have a date set up yet. That's one of the many things on my to-do list tomorrow is to set up a consult with a place that a friend of mine went to that I feel comfortable using. So I will be updating on that as it goes along. Happy Semi-Pride Day. Thank you, Supreme Omega. Avira passed all my assignments. Just got to do 2 makeup days this week. Oh, well, that sounds very doable. That's great, Kara. Happy Pride Month. Yes, so soon. We've got Pride and the Queen's Jubilee. Nice. I mean, I hope it's not the most offensive thing in the world for me to say, but the Queen's Jubilee, that's pretty gay. Can we just all admit that? I did the no mow May. Now my mower won't cut the tall grass. Yeah, like I said, I had to hit mine with the weed whacker first, and then deal with it afterwards. It took a little bit of work. It's my birthday today, 25 years old. Happy birthday, Ms. Wicked Wolf. I love your pendant. Thank you. I'm rather fond of this. I tend to wear this when I perform burlesque, not necessarily during the number, but during intermission or after shows, or if I'm hosting as Vera. Because when I host the Green Mountain Cabaret shows, I have a different host. I have a hosting persona called Snow Peepers, which Snow is a slightly different can of worms than my normal onstage persona. Snow is a lot. They are a lot. That's what Snow is. And if you think I'm a lot, just on my own, and if you imagine I'm even more of a lot performing burlesque, with that in mind, I'm saying Snow is a lot. Gays in the jolly sense of the word? Sure, that works. I'm doing fine. I've just found out there's a Nick Fury TV movie from the 90s, stars David Hasselhoff as Fury. It's as campy and cheesy as it sounds. I did know that existed. I've never seen it, but I did know it existed. Would the stream get demonetized if you sing happy birthday? I actually don't think that happy birthday is, I think that's gone public domain. Excuse me. You'll have to forgive me for not indulging you on that, though. I do wish you a happy birthday, but I don't want to set a precedent of singing the full song every time somebody has a birthday in the chat, because it's going to become like the only thing the chat is very quickly. Anyone who's offended by that, you should probably ban from the chat. Caring about the monarchy usually indicates you're right wing in the UK. That is fair. Now I really want to see snow. Okay, well, okay, let me put it this way, Gozer. If you've ever seen an image of me on stage with a particularly obscene bulge, that's snow. So yeah, that's where I will leave it at with that. Am I a thrill seeker? No, not really. I'm slightly too introverted for that. And I think that throws people off, that like I'm kind of an introverted extrovert, if that makes any sense. Probably not. I can be incredibly extroverted if I am in a situation in which I'm comfortable. However, you can't just drop me into the middle of a party with a bunch of people who I don't know. I'm not that kind of extrovert. So, did you hear what's been happening in the recent Owl House episodes? I have not heard. Do not tell me. I don't see them until they hit Disney Plus. Do not tell me. Saw Top Gun Maverick today. Short story. I really liked it. I do think it's miles better than the original. I've been hearing good things about that one. Yeah. People hardly ever wish me a happy birthday just because it's usually not my birthday. Fair. That's fair. Ambiverts is a thing. Yeah, that tracks. What's the worst piece of Doctor Who media? Day 1, Torchwood Series 1, or The Idiot's Lantern, Doctor Who Series 2? So, if you're asking which one, if I could throw one of them into a volcano, I would throw The Idiot's Lantern into the volcano. That having been said, if you're asking me which is actually, like, by a more objective measure, removing my personal reasons for detesting that, The Idiot's Lantern out of it, Day 1 is probably a worse just piece of art. Because, there are tiny bits of The Idiot's Lantern, which are kind of cool, which are kind of nice. I will not bemoan anyone who wants to cosplay Rose's outfit from that, but Day 1 that's real bad. It's real bad. Oh, super chats are coming in, and I forgot to tell people. So, if you are new to the chat, you probably noticed I try and keep up with the chat to the best of my abilities. I make no promises about that. However, the only thing that guarantees I'm going to see your comment is to do it as a super chat, which I will read, and if it's a question, I will answer to the best of my ability, and of course, you will get a heart from me. The only other way is if you are a Patreon supporter, the Council of Geeks Discord, which is a Patreon exclusive perk, has a channel for asking me questions on the live stream, and I'll be popping over to that in about a half hour. So, but for right now, let's take a look at some of these super chats. A.M. Paulson, thank you so much. Going to my first Pride Festival as an out demi-romantic asexual, and am knitting an outfit so I will be a walking ace flag. Ah! Thanks for everything. Wouldn't have figured out my sexuality without you. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm really, really happy for you. It's one of those things that, like, I get it. It's not like I can't wrap my head around it, but it's funny to me sometimes when people, say that watching me or myself on the Vera Wild channel or what have you, like, help them figure themselves out when, like their identity that they've settled on is not one that I hold, and it makes it feel more like a complete community that way, in a way. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. John Vinyls, thank you so much. Imagine if Disney tried to do a live action version of the Owl House. I am pretty sure. I remember seeing this. I hope I didn't imagine it. But I'm pretty sure Bob Chapek said they were going to stop with the live action remakes. Like, the ones that were already in production are going to finish because, you know, that's a sunk cost issue. But, like, I think after Pinocchio and maybe Little Mermaid, that might be it. He said that they're probably going to stop doing that, which honestly, they don't have that many more left to do that I think people would be excited about anyways. But I'm hoping so. The Owl House, I mean, like, the very premise and the world of the Owl House, it just lends itself to animation. It is so ridiculous and lively, and there's so many like side gags just in the art, and you know, just casually walking around weird things that, yeah, I don't think it would ever be anywhere near as good in live action. Raya C, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think Big Finish will redeem Jodie Whittaker's Doctor like they did for 6 and 8? So let me think how I want to answer that. I think Big Finish will happily work with her as soon as she is available and willing to work with them. I don't, like, here's the thing. I don't know that they're going to go in on a mission to try and redeem her the way they kind of did with the 6th Doctor and the 8th Doctor. And I'm not sure that's necessarily a healthy thing to go in, but if they just go in wanting to tell really good stories for the 13th Doctor, then that's potentially a byproduct regardless. So, you know, we'll see how they end up approaching it when that hopefully eventually happens. Jojo Lopez, thank you so much for the super chat. Love you, Vera. You're super cool. Keep doing what you do. Thank you. I have no intention of stopping. Kara, thank you very much. Any tips for creating a magic system? I feel like I got myself in too deep with my current writing, and I've only got 1.5K words. Okay, so the main thing to figure out at the start, if you're writing and you're trying to create a magic system, is how rigid are the rules? Because that is going to vastly impact the amount of work that you have made for yourself. So, broadly speaking, there are soft magic systems, there are hard magic systems. Hard magic systems have hard rules. That's basically the D&D approach, where like you have to have learned XYZ, you have to have these components, it has to be these specific magic words, or like it doesn't create this, it only affects it. Like some spells will manipulate fire but not create. Like if you're doing hard magic, that means that what you've basically created is a science that you're calling magic. It has hard rules, fixed rules. And that tends to be a lot of work depending on how heavily magic enters into the story. I mean, that's the other thing. While you may have to create a magic system for your story, know how important it's going to be for your story to actually have magic in play. Like, is it a background element, or do you actually have characters, primary characters using it? Because that is probably going to impact things a certain amount. Because, like, to put it simply, you are not, even if you're doing a hard magic system, I'll get to soft magic in a minute. Even if you're doing a hard magic system, the whole thing about that is you don't have to come up with a complete system for everything possible with magic. If you know the story you're telling, if you at very least have an outline, figure out what magic you think is going to come into play for the story, work out the rules for that. Don't worry about anything else right now. Do that later if you feel so inclined. There are some people who will tell you that it's somehow incomplete if you don't like account for everything. Like you have to have your whole world mapped out, even if the story only takes place in this little bit. And, you know, you have to, you know, have these made up languages and all your species figured out and have rules for all your magic. You don't. You don't. Some people do that. And some people, like, they get energized by doing that. But if you're struggling with that, just work on what you know will actually appear. Now, for soft magic, it's way easier. And that is that soft magic basically means the rules are squishy. So soft magic is something like, I think my personal favorite example is The Last Unicorn. The way magic works there is very squishy. And there are even like some things kind of in between, like at least the extent to which I've encountered magic in the Discworld books, it's kind of almost like mid-firmness, where there do appear to be rules, but a lot of the magic seems to be more about nudging things than controlling them. At least as far as the witch end of magic goes. I haven't dealt too much with the wizards and the Discworld stuff that I've read. But like you can find a balance in between those things as well. So like with when I wrote my own novel, you know, I basically had both a hard and a magic system in it. There's the elementals, who are the humans who exhibit a specific elemental energy within them. That's a hard magic system. It has firm rules, and what they're able to do with it is actually very limited. However, I also have the Fae, and the Fae use very soft magic that I have very loose rules for. And I preferred it that way because I want the Fae to be a little bit tougher to nail down, a little bit less definable by rules. So there's a lot of ways that you can go at that. But honestly, if you are finding yourself not getting very far in your story because you're hung up on how to get your magic system working, then just write the story and don't worry about the magic system until you come to a bit of the story where it matters. Like basically deal with it on a spell by spell basis as it comes up. Because if you're finding yourself struggling to just sit down and sort it all out ahead of time, then don't try and do that. If that approach isn't working for you, then don't do it that way. I went on for a bit with that. Hey, Angus, thank you very much. Setting aside the UK, which country would you most like to visit? Cost not an issue. If I had a guide who spoke the language, I think maybe Japan. Because I think it would be really interesting to go from the contrast of a city like Tokyo and then to go out, you know, sort of further out into the more rural areas and experience that. I think that would be neat. I think that would be cool. John Vinyls, once again. Ever noticed that Lilo Pilecki is heavily coded as being autistic and that Luz Naceda is heavily coded as having ADHD? I have not watched Lilo and Stitch in ages, so I can't say that I noticed that about Lilo. As for Luz, yeah. Luz has a squirrel brain. So, yeah, that tracks. Magic can be very firm. Yes, it can, Carolyn. Yes, indeed it can. Did you watch the new Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers movie? I have not. I have not had the time. Question, where do you perform burlesque? Sorry for the misspell. I'm going to be moving to Chicago in a couple days. I would love to check out my first show. I mean, I personally perform with the Green Mountain Cabaret here in Vermont. And we perform mostly in Burlington and Winooski, so that's over on the west side of the state, sort of around Lake Champlain. I'm sure Chicago has all kinds of options for burlesque. I have no doubt about that. Actually, one of the founders of the Green Mountain Cabaret, Alexa Luthor, she came from Chicago. Okay. Sorry, my nose itches. So, like, there must be a decent scene out there. Lilo and Stitch turns 20 next month. Oh, great. Now I can feel even older. That was super helpful. May have to rewatch when my brain's not so tired. Thank you. Well, I'm glad it was helpful. What's my favorite Owl House episode and character? I still like Grom as an episode a lot. And honestly, I think I like Luce best. Have I seen Heartstopper? I have not. Like, lots and lots and lots and lots of people have been encouraging me to see Heartstopper, and I'm sure it's fine, but honestly, I am real burnt out of high school set things. Like, I don't relate to high school anymore. That doesn't mean that there are no good stories to set in a high school or that age range, but like, it's rare. It's super, like, it's part of why I'm having a real hard time getting through Stranger Things season 4 right now. I hate the high school stuff. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It hurts to watch. And that's not me assuming that I would hate Heartstopper, but like the idea of watching anything set in a high school, I don't wanna. I just don't wanna. And I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's great, but have you ever watched Power Rangers? I watched the first season of Power Rangers, and then I was kind of aged out of it. I was borderline when that first season even happened. Will you be reviewing any more of The Time Traveler's Wife? Probably when it finishes. Not episode by episode, though. Excuse me. Thoughts on polyamory? Whoo! Oh, boy. So, polyamory is a lot to deal with. I'm going to give you the super short version. I have no issues and see a lot of appeal in the practice of polyamory. I take a lot of issues with the communities of polyamory that I have encountered. And I feel that distinction is very important. I have no issue with it as a practice. I have a lot of friends who do practice polyamory. But the community that springs up around it, at least the ones, again, that I have personally encountered, there's a lot that isn't great in the community of polyamory, regardless of the practice. Let's see, where was I? Did you hear Big Finisher doing Fugitive Doctor and Sasha Dewan Master Series? I did hear that. John Vinyls, once again. What is it with Molly Ostertag and Sapphic kissing saving the world? I mean, why shouldn't it save the world? I can relate. High school was a fucking nightmare for me. The thing is, high school wasn't even that bad for me. My high school years were fine. I just can't. I think here's the main disconnect I have with high school at this point. Is that, and like, this is accurate to the experience of high school. I'm not sold that I don't remember this. But kids in high school and characters in high school, when it comes to stories set in high schools, they think their problems and their concerns are the biggest deals in the world and in their life that they will ever encounter. And I'm watching it going, it's not, though. It's really not. None of this matters. And it makes it really hard for me to get invested in the drama that's going on. And like, it's why I'm still trying to power through Stranger Things season 4, because I know there is stuff that's going to go on that matters, but it's all the supernatural stuff and all the high school garbage we have to, like, I'm only a couple episodes in, but everything that has gone on in the California setting, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's painful. Bookworm of the fandoms. Thank you very much for the super chat. Good news for me. I finally have a top surgery consult scheduled. That's wonderful. Don't have anything planned for Pride Month, though. I wish I did. Hope you had a good May. Thank you so much, Bookworms, and congratulations. That's really, really wonderful to hear. I agree about the high school element. That's why I can rewatch Angel, not Buffy. That's why I can watch the originals versus the Vampire Diaries. I haven't tried rewatching Buffy, but I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being kind of the case for me. So polyamory is like veganism in that way. That's not a terrible comparison in terms of the sense of superiority some seem to have about being polyamorous, the evangelizing of their lifestyle, the shaping of one's life around it. Although, to be fair, with veganism, there's a practical need to have to shape your life around it, whereas with polyamory, they just tend to do that. But yeah, it's not a bad comparison. Currently watching the Hartnell era of Doctor Who. I'm gaining more of an appreciation of that as I watch more of it. Have I seen Beastars on Netflix? I have not. I once criticized a YouTuber's video, and in response, he told me to piss off, and now my comments don't show up on his video. Should I just give up? Well, if your comments don't show up on his videos, it's because he has marked you as, he's effectively blocked you. So this is something that I have to do a lot, actually daily, in my own comments, is to set people, what it is, it's hide commenter. And it's not technically a block because it doesn't prevent them from seeing my channel. They can still see it and watch my stuff, but their comments don't show up anymore. So that's probably what this YouTuber did to you. So if you're trying to still reach out to them, then yeah, they basically cut you off unless you create a new account to just do that with. And at that point, I would say it's not worth it. Because clearly this person doesn't want to have a conversation. So, sorry, give me 1 second. Checking something. Okay, cool. Awesome. Oh, John Vinyls, the super chat once again. I was trying to quip about the similarities between Enchanting Grom Fright and the finale of She-Ra. You know, it is funny to me that Owl House had the Grom episode, which I really love, and She-Ra has the Princess Prom, which I also really love. I'm really dreading the comments on your Spyfall rewatch regarding the questionable way the Doctor outsmarts the Master, which the fandom have gotten really angry about. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that discourse. I'm still gonna try and assess it as fairly as I can. Like, I know what the discourse around it, like, I kind of ran into this a little bit less heated, but I ran into this a little bit with It Takes You Away, where the general fan discourse views the character of Eric, in that, the father, incredibly harshly. And I don't think they're wrong for doing so, but I don't view him as harshly as a lot of people seem to. Like, especially if you're going to make the comparison to the Idiot's Lantern. But, like, I had to try and approach that taking my knowledge of the fan reaction out of it, other than to acknowledge that I know this is what people think. And I'm going to have to try and address Spyfall the same way. I don't want to go in already thinking what I know, because I haven't rewatched it since it aired. So, who knows? Michael Anderson Doyle, thank you so much. Member for 7 months. Happy to have it. The Wizard by Black Sabbath plays over the PA system as the amazing androgynous android Dharma struts down to the council floor. Always happy to have you. Oh, Supreme Omega, thank you very much. Thoughts on Identity Crisis? Because I feel it had a negative effect leading to the New 52. For me, Tim Drake never recovered after they killed off his dad. Okay, this is where I'm going to allow myself one swear per stream. I fucking hate Identity Crisis. For multiple reasons. Firstly, it suffers from the problem that Watchmen avoided, which was that, if you don't know, Alan Moore's Watchmen was originally conceived as a vehicle for a bunch of characters that DC had acquired from Charlton Comics. So this was characters like Blue Beetle, The Question, Captain Atom, and a handful of others. So when Alan Moore pitched his planned story, what the editors told him was, we love this pitch, but we can't let you use these characters because it ruins these characters. And we basically won't be able to do anything fun with them after this because this is too dark. So can you make original characters? They can be analogs, and they are, like pretty thin ones if you know the characters he's basing them on. And then we got Watchmen. I feel very strongly Identity Crisis really should have been a similar thing. It should have been done with analogs because the stain that it leaves on the DC universe as a whole and the characters involved specifically was not worth the story being told. And as a mystery, it's shit. I said I would only swear once. I'm swearing a little more here. It's a lousy mystery because it has an answer that is not one that could be reasonably figured out from clues, and also disregards the investigation process that went on before. Once you find out what actually happened, you realize the things that they did to try and investigate should have uncovered some of this stuff. It's not a well-written mystery. It severely, severely taints all the characters involved. It is needlessly brutal. The absolute worst thing about it is the stuff that goes on with Dr. Light and with the background in particular with Sue Dibney. Now, it's already screwed up because of what it did to Sue Dibney in the first place. And it's just cruel. And it also feeds into this whole thing that comics have where there cannot be happy, stable couples. DC has this bad. Marvel's honestly not only slightly better than them. Superhero comics in general do this a lot. So it feeds into that by destroying brutally one of the only long-term stable couples that was still around in DC. But then it adds this entire backstory involving some of the worst sexual assault that can be enacted against a person, and the impact that has on the actual supposed mystery that this whole thing is supposed to be is zero. That entire end of the story has nothing to do with what the actual plot is supposed to be. It is needless, edgelord, cruel nonsense. And I deeply hate it. And I really, really, really hate the fact that it seemed to have completely reset the mood for what DC was going to be going forward. People can complain about the New 52 all they want. I think the direction of DC was locked in with the release of Identity Crisis, and for the worse. Identity Crisis is terrible, and its impact is nothing but destructive. It was an awful piece of work that had a staggering amount of influence that I think we're still seeing and still feeling. And it's a real shame. Okay, let's find a lighter topic if we can. Do you like horror? That's a much lighter topic. My relationship with horror is that I like some of the ephemera and the trappings of horror. There aren't that many actual horror stories that I like, though. And I think it's a big part of why I like Guillermo del Toro, because his stuff is dripping in horror iconography, but not that many of his movies would be accurately described as horror movies. I've never seen or heard of Inside Number 9, but I looked up your reviews anyway because it fascinates me when critics dislike something others love. Which episode was the one you disliked? There's a number of episodes I didn't like about it. The one that pissed everybody off was, what is it, A Silent Night? Something like that. Whatever the almost dialogue-free episode was from Series 1, I didn't really like that, and people came at me for that. People really, really got the knives out over the fact that I did not like that episode. So, and here's the thing. I didn't know this. I didn't know that this fan base for that show was the way it was. If I'd known, I never would have reviewed it, honestly. I had it recommended to me as a kind of a non-sci-fi sort of similar to Black Mirror kind of thing, because I think I had just finished up my Black Mirror reviews. I'd caught up on that at the time, and people were pushing me to try Inside Number 9, and I tried it, and I liked some of it. I didn't like other of it, but I did no research into it before watching it. So I didn't know that I was stepping on what to some people was a sacred cow, and I still get hateful comments on those videos. That one especially. And I will definitely not ever review Inside Number 9 again. I probably won't even watch it again. That is my primary example of a case where the fandom turned me off the property completely, because it basically left me in a position where if these are the kind of people who like this show, I don't want to be counted among you ever. It wasn't fun. It wasn't pleasant. And it completely shut me off a thing that, honestly, I might have enjoyed. I might have kept enjoying. There were parts of it I did, in fact, enjoy in that first series. But I'll never talk about it again. John Vinyls, thank you very much. Why do you think the characters in Watchmen doing terrible things, it works better than Identity Crisis? For me, the characters in Watchmen benefit from having moments of humanity. Well, part of it's that, but the other part of it is part of the reason those characters have moments of humanity is because, despite being analogs, they were characters who had to be created from whole cloth, so they had to be built up and created and brought forth to the reader from the ground up in that story. Now, in Identity Crisis, they didn't have to because of the fact that these were the pre-existing characters, which is part of what the problem is. So within the confines of that story, it is not required to show their humanity, because, like, you know Batman. You know why Batman's a good guy. You know why Wonder Woman's a hero. Like, you know all this stuff. We don't have to cover it in this story. So within the confines of the story, it makes the story weaker because they don't have to cover that. Now, normally, that's a benefit of long-running serialized storytelling like superhero comic books, where you don't have to cover the basics every single story. But in something like this, something that is this damaging to the characters involved, it becomes, what is normally a strength becomes a detriment. And it makes the whole thing worse. John Vinyls once again. And Alan Moore didn't excuse their actions. Yeah, that's true too. What are my thoughts on Doctor Who? You never seem to talk about on your channel. I know, I should get around to that sometime. Captain Omni, thank you very much. Stuff like Identity Crisis are why I do like the multiverse. For instance, Marvel Squadron Supreme, essentially the JLA, but like Watchmen, different. I do make the distinction between multiverses and simply having out-of-canon stories. Because, like, I have no problem with out-of-canon stories or what-if stories or Elseworld stories. But when you start building a structure under which here's the multiverse in which they all exist, I'm like, that is deeply unnecessary. That overcomplicates something that doesn't need it. And, like, I'm not saying that, it never yields decent stories, but not anything I'm interested in 99 times out of 100. What's worse, Beavis and Butthead or Dumb and Dumber? I never really watched much Beavis and Butthead, so I couldn't tell you. Do I like Spaceballs and Galaxy Quest? Yeah, I enjoy both of those. All my uni stuff is submitted, and all my film projects are for the year are uploaded. I can finally relax. I'm bored already. Close to 60K subscribers. Ms. Wicked Wolf, I've been close to 50K subscribers for a year. Like, growth on this channel has plateaued for a while. It has been at a crawl. I had a little bit of a boost earlier in the year, largely on the back of the video I did on Ezra Miller. But, like, I don't worry about the channel growth too much. And like, that's not to say I wouldn't like the channel to grow. I would love the channel to grow, but I don't worry about it because honestly, the algorithm doesn't like me. It has almost never liked me. And most YouTubers I follow, even ones with fewer subscribers than me, you know, if they're doing decently at all, they've had at least one video go like proper viral, like million views. I never have. The algorithm does not actually like me. As much as people who don't want to see my face bitch about it in my comments, who the hell is this freak? The algorithm does not actually like me. Can I recommend you a show? I just finished Peaky Blinders. I want to watch a new one. Well, because I don't know Peaky Blinders, I don't know what I could recommend instead of it. I do, however, need to take a very quick bio break. I will be right back. I thought I could hold it till the end of the stream. I can't. I'll be right back. Okay. Whew. Have I seen Doctor Strange 2 yet? I want to ask a quick question. I have seen it. My review is up in the break room of Geeks. That went up, I think, same weekend it came out. Let's see. Spironolactone getting to Vera. Yeah, it does that. Let's see. Algorithm has been shown to be extremely transphobic. Well, yeah. Like, I forget how many years ago it was now. There was a period during which every single video that I put up on YouTube would be automatically flagged as not advertiser friendly and would have limited monetization. That started on the Vera Wild channel, and it actually happened on Council of Geeks as well. Possibly because they matched the IP addresses, possibly because facial recognition realized I was the same person. I actually wasn't out as Vera at the time, back when this happened. So, you know, it's YouTube as this is my living, but the site has never been especially kind to me. Just in time to check the Discord. Ooh, I will do that. Oh my goodness. Eternal Sailor Hufflepuff. My goodness, wow. Thank you very much for that super chat. Whew. Do you not like the concept of the timeless child, or just because it made the Doctor too important? I liked it because it gave an origin for the Time Lords and explained how they can regenerate, but it annoyed me to no end that they made the Doctor the reason behind it all. So, I dislike the Timeless Child for multiple reasons. The first is, I'm personally of the opinion that it doesn't matter how the Time Lords can regenerate. And that is not a question that ever needs to be answered, because the answer doesn't matter. They do. They can. They've been doing it. How? Why? What's the base it? It doesn't matter. Like, it truly does not matter. I cannot think of any way in which the story of the Doctor or the Time Lords is actually impacted by knowing where where regeneration comes from. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It just doesn't. So it's answering a question that I don't think there's any value in answering in the first place. That's part of it. I would have disliked it less had the Timeless Child been literally anyone else other than the Doctor. If it had been the Master, if it had been Rassilon, if it had been Omega, if it had been Romana. Anybody other than the Doctor. Because the Doctor should not be the single most important being in the universe. They just shouldn't. And that's what this does. It means that the only reason the Time Lords have regeneration at all is because of the Doctor. And that's... Now, like, if that hadn't been the case, if the Timeless Child had been literally anyone else, I still wouldn't think it was a good idea, but I ultimately probably wouldn't care. Because, like I said, it's, like, I would still consider it pointless and a waste of time, but, like, I don't feel it's damaging to lore to have the Timeless Child be a thing. I just think it ruins part of what I love about the Doctor, to make the Doctor this freaking important. And it's very fanficky. It just kind of is. Anyways, I gotta hop over to the Discord. I will be back. Oh, hang on. I saw one question I'm gonna answer. Do I have any close religious friends? If so, how did they react to you coming out? I do, but all my close religious friends are either queer or have queer people in their family. So I don't have any close friends who are religious in a way that is exclusionary towards queer people. So my coming out had zero impact. Okay, popping over to the Discord. Whoa, we got a lot of stuff in here tonight. Okay, it's kind of silly, but I'm excited for Pride this year. And I know I won't go to any events. I don't think that's silly. I think Pride is something worth getting excited about. I'm planning to go to a Pride event in my hometown if all goes well. Well, fingers crossed. Pride March here on the 9th of June. Hope you're able to make it if you desire to go. I wish I could watch, but I'm going to Concord to see my sister, and we're going to Burlington tomorrow. Oh, yeah, my neck of the woods. Have fun. Okay, what do we got here? So your laser hair removal, do they do it all in one go, or do you have to go in for multiple sessions? Also, I feel bad I didn't help with that, but the fundraiser happened while I was drunk and then asleep, but still, sorry. You don't have to apologize. It is going to be a multiple session thing. What I need to do is I need to set up a consultation, because we need to figure out if just laser is going to be enough. I might need electrolysis on some of my hairs as well, because I'm at an age where some of the hard, coarse hairs that I don't want to be dealing with anymore are not dark enough to be picked up by laser, because I have white hair on my face in some places. Have you seen the British movie Pride? I have not. I've had it recommended to me. It might even be on my catch-up list for commission reviews. I should check that. But no, I haven't seen it yet. When someone asks you for your advice about coming out, does the answer you give vary much depending on where they live and how safe queer people are there? Like if someone asks you about coming out as trans, would you give a different answer depending on if they lived in Kentucky or Iceland? Short answer, yes. My concern is honestly usually more about their much more immediate surroundings. So like if they are living with anyone who might not be supportive or who might reject them. But yes, my answer to that is going to vary a lot depending on your living situation, because while I want everybody to be able to come out and be themselves, the sad reality is that it's not always safe to do so. And sometimes you need to get yourself in a different situation for it to be safe and for it to be viable. And there are sometimes that me just saying, just be out and be proud is dangerous advice. And it's a real shame that that is the case, but it is in some places, in an increasing number of places, it seems. So if you search pride on Google at the moment, confetti drops from the top of the screen and arms holding pride flags run across the bottom. How do you feel about companies doing that kind of performative support of the LGBTQ community? I mean, we all know Google would switch to publicly hating on queer people if that became the more profitable PR move. I'll say what I've always said. I don't consider it like a big victory or a win, but I do consider it to be a good barometer, because companies like Google, like Disney, they have massive marketing departments, and part of their job is to keep a finger on the pulse, on the cultural pulse. And if these companies believe that it is more profitable for them to support us than to condemn us, that means that they believe that's where society is heading. And I find comfort in that as a barometer. I'm not going to massively pet these companies on the back, and I'm absolutely going to call them out when they undermine their supposed support, like I ended up having to do with Disney. But I don't get angry about it. I won't spend money on it. Like, I have some Disney Pride stuff, but I didn't buy that. I was given that. So, I wouldn't encourage you to necessarily spend money on that kind of stuff any more than you would spend money on anything else corporate owned, if you can help it. But I do think there is value in the fact that it happens at all. It is a barometer that I find hope in. My girlfriend is in the final stages of her transition, and I've been thinking of ways to do something special. My mind keeps going to heavy metal themed party. Any suggestions? I'm really not in a position to suggest, because I don't know her. If you're asking like for a good trans gift, like a good gift or party theme is going to depend much more on her interest than on the fact that she's trans. So you are going to be in a much better position to answer that than I am. And also, like, I freeze and I panic trying to think of party or gift ideas. So I'm not good for that anyway. Would you rather have a replicator or a holodeck? Probably a replicator, I think. Tough call, though. Speaking of Idiot's Lantern, do you think popular media will ever get over the "you need to forgive your abusive parents" trope? Hopefully, with time, eventually, but it does pay me when I see it come up. Why do you think the Disney cartoon shows are doing so much better than their animated movies with regards to queer representation? Well, I kind of brought this up in the video, not this past Saturday, but the one before, where I talked about how the pace of representation is much slower in films. And while it's not the point of that video, I do note that it goes much faster and we're much more caught up in TV and or streaming. Part of the reason is that there's way less money spent on it and there's way less money at stake. And so they don't have to be as concerned about appealing to as many people as possible. They can allow things to be niche in TV and streaming in a way that they generally don't in movies anymore, because there's almost no such thing as a mid-budget movie anymore. It's either tentpoles or indies with nothing in between. And the in-between is where you previously would have seen, taking a swing on something like queer representation. So until it is at a point where they feel it won't hit their bottom line on their major tentpole releases, test running it, for lack of a better way to put it, in TV makes more business sense. Which works Least well in live action. Owl House, Gravity Falls, She-Ra, or Steven Universe? I'm going to go with Steven Universe on that. I think trying to realize those characters and that world in live action, like even the humans are so stylized in that. No, that none of those would work in live action. That one would work the least. I have nothing to say except I hope everyone has a happy and safe Pride Month. I love you. I love all of y'all. That's lovely. I used to have a love-hate relationship with Batman. Loved him as a kid. As I got older, I just couldn't stand how dark he as a character got. Not the story so much as I really hate how Batman has become a perpetual brooder when I feel that Batman, the animated series, already had the perfect setup for a modern take on the character. He's a brooder, but not to the point he's depressing. He genuinely wants to help his villains instead of coming across like he borderline can't stand any of them. Part of my issues with modern Batman stories is he doesn't seem to care about helping his villains or even having any hope of helping them. It's just pessimistic, and I dislike that immensely in Batman. Would you agree? Broadly speaking, yes. I don't know how bad he is in the comics these days. I haven't picked up a Batman comic in ages, but this is honestly one of the things that I really liked about the recent Batman movie. That's not to say that he was trying to help the villains of the story. He wasn't, but the film was not pointlessly dark the way I was 99.9% sure it was going to be. And especially towards the very end, it did something that I haven't seen a Batman. Like, I feel like I can at least vaguely say this. It's on streaming at this point. It has been for a little bit. There's a note of hope at the end. Not just for Batman, but like for his place in the world. That makes him more than just a vehicle of vengeance. And actually lets Batman be a symbol of hope. Not just fear for criminals, but hope for everybody else. And I was shocked that the movie had it, and I was very thankful. Thought exercise. You have complete control of DC. What do you change and why? I don't know. At this point, I honestly don't know. I wouldn't need complete control of DC. I would need complete control of DC and a time machine. Because the thing is, just resetting it back to a status quo before I think they screwed everything up, that's something DC keeps doing. That's part of why they keep screwing up, is they keep having writers like, it was better back at X point. Let's rearrange the universe so it's more like it used to be. I don't know the DC universe well enough to know what would be best for it going forward. And I know the DC universe well enough to know that continually looking back and resetting back to an older status quo has done nothing but damage it. So, the stream's going to run a little long. There have been a lot of questions, a lot of the super chats, and a lot of questions in the Discord today. So we will run this stream a little long. I'll be back. I'm almost done with them. I wish I could go to Pride in June, but my local Pride festival has been moved to September, October, which I'm fine with because it's hot and humid as hell where I live in June. Funny thing, Vermont has its Pride in September as well, although for kind of a stupid reason. It's because the main Pride event happens in Burlington, and Burlington's a college town, and they moved it to when the college kids are back. Hey. Like, I still enjoy it, but it is weird that, like, online, all the Pride stuff is in June, but then, like, actual Pride events anywhere near me are in September. Thoughts on people playing properly evil PCs in D&D? It's quite contentious among DMs if done properly, i.e. in a way that doesn't impact party cohesion either in-game or IRL, preferably with a solid, if screwed up, moral structure affecting the PC. It can make for interesting role-playing experiences. So, I have not personally had a good experience with a D&D campaign where another player was playing an evil character. That has not resulted in campaigns where I had, honestly, any fun at all. I think if you have a group where you have built up a trust that, because here's the main problem that I have when people play evil ones. In my experience, at least, most of the players who play evil characters in Dungeons and Dragons, they're players who are trying to win the game, like controlling the narrative or beat the DM or, you know, take over the world. Or like they are trying to defeat basically the other players and the DM. And that's just an unhealthy way to play the game. It has to be approached, if it's going to work at all, it has to be approached as a communal storytelling exercise, structured as a game. That said, if you had a gaming group where you really had a good rapport and there was a good level of trust that everybody was on the same page at wanting to just tell a good story, maybe. Maybe. But it's something that can go really wrong. Also, holodecks have replicators. It's how they handle, and it's how they're able to handle and consume stuff. Oh, well, I should have said a holodeck then. That would have been cheating, though. That's not in the spirit of the question. All right, I am back in the chat, and and there's another super chat. Supreme Omega on Tim Drake killing his dad and trying to kill his love interest. Spoilers. Misses the whole point of what made him different from the other Robins. Yeah. That was part of what was fascinating about Tim, which was that he didn't have the same aspect of tragedy that every other Robin had. And it made him different. And like, now let's make him like everybody else. Why? Why? I don't understand DC. I really don't. Okay, I am back in the chat. We'll give it a little while longer, since I was in the Discord for quite a while. A show I've been liking is Ultraman on Netflix, which is an animated version of one of the biggest tokusatsu series in Japan. Highly recommend it if you want something different. Tokusatsu in general isn't really my genre. So, I mean, I don't know. I've just got so much stuff to catch up on. Have you seen Star Kids Twisted? What did you think of it? Not only have I seen it, there's a review in the break room of Geeks, so you can see what I thought. Don't know if you'll agree, but I really hope the RTD2 era doesn't bring back the jerking off of how great humans are. Here's the thing. I'd be very surprised if it did that, because I don't know if you paid attention to RTD's output since leaving Doctor Who, like years and years, and it's a sin. I don't think he's got that optimistic an outlook of the human race as he did back when he was showrunning Doctor Who. Do I listen to Billie Eilish? A couple of songs. Oof. Just finished Lower Deck, so delightful. 10D is probably my favorite. I enjoyed the one episode I saw of that. But I don't have Paramount Plus, so at this point, I don't think DC understands DC. Yeah. So, oh, hey, Meg. Good to see you. Not sure how much longer the stream's going to go, but thank you for popping in. It's very telling that the one thing not shown in the new Pinocchio teaser is Pinocchio itself. It's almost as if even Zemeckis knows the CGI will look creepy as hell. I mean, it's a standard teaser thing, though, to hide, you know, your big selling point like that. So it's not necessarily that. It might be. Midnight says human psych. Yeah, I mean, you're like, even the fourth series of RTD's Doctor Who, Turn Left, Midnight, I think his opinion of humanity was already souring. Excuse me. Captain Omni, once again, my problem with Tim Drake currently is they had him dump Stephanie Brown for a random guy since he came out as bi. You could just had him come out. See, like, I'm not reading the current stuff, so I don't know how his how his relationship with Steph was doing. I don't know how healthy or how good the stories coming out of it were, and I don't know anything about the guy he's currently dating. I will say it would have been kind of commendable for them to have Tim come out as bi, but just continue to date a girl. Because, you know, being in a same-sex relationship does not negate your bisexuality. So, you know, that would have been kind of cool. And then, like, if there was ever a natural or more organic reason to break the two of them up, then you could have had him date a guy. That would have been interesting. They didn't do it, but it would have been interesting. Have you seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? I would like to. Very, very, very much. I have not as yet. John Vinyl's in there with the super chat again. Live action Owl House's CGI version of King. Hello, children. I am the king of your nightmares. Yeah, he would be. Although King would kind of be down for that. Bow down before me. What? Why aren't they bowing? Saw the Chip and Dale movie today. Wouldn't say it's amazing. Comes off a bit like first draft, but certainly not boring and can be pretty wild. Like if I ever have free time again in my life, I'll watch it at some point. I stopped liking Tom Hanks because he, like many others, knew about Harvey Weinstein and did nothing. I don't have the spoons to dig into the extent to which who knew what and who didn't know what. It's a condemnation of Hollywood as a whole that it went on for as long as it did. I don't have the spoons to start to parse specific blame beyond the man himself. And no, that's not the same as saying people are off the hook. I'm just saying I have my limits. That's all. Question, what's up with the Damian Wayne hate? I don't hate him per se, but I do think he's lesser Robin, but the animosity to him is like, come on, there are some good things. Okay, well, here's the thing you need to understand about my hatred of Damian Wayne. I have not read any of the comics in which Damian Wayne has appeared. I only know Damian Wayne through the DC animated movies, and he is the most insufferable little turd ever. I hate him so much in those animated movies. He is the worst. And quite possibly worse than he is on the comic book page. But, oh, man. I'm super jealous because my aunt and her boyfriend went to see Coldplay in concert last week. Oh, that's nice for them at least. Happy Pride. Thank you, Meg. Happy Pride to you. Captain Omni. I'm going to wrap up kind of soon, I think. The relationship with Steph was going fine, so it was honestly way out of left field. I'm pan doesn't mean I immediately had to date everyone. Yeah, it's unfortunately... it is unfortunately one of those things that just happens. And like, here's the thing. As irritating as it is that things like DC Comics do that, have a character come out as bi and then immediately establish a same-sex relationship to basically prove it. To a certain extent, they do also... I understand why they feel they have to do that, because there is going to be a section of the audience otherwise who is going to be saying, well, how do we know? And either trying to erase the bisexuality by being like, he's not really bi, you're just saying that, or feeling that the representation is token because it's not being backed up. So I do understand the pressure that an entity like DC feels from that. I wish they would ignore it, but, you know. Eternal Sailor Hufflepuff. Do you have another Doctor Who ranking plan for the future? If so, what is it? If not, might I suggest ranking the actual Doctor Who logos? I'm actually planning later this year to start revisiting most of my rankings because a lot of them are quite old. So I'm going to start redoing some of those. John Vinyls, CGI Hootie. And I make the 2019 Jellicles look attractive and appealing. Hoot hoot. What do you think of Midnight Mass? Have not seen it. Have you seen Scream Queens? Nope. Do you prefer sweet or salty snacks? Salty more often these days. For the most part. No way I made it to your live stream. I can't even. I love you so much. Thank you, Maureen. It's probably not going to be going on too much longer if we're being honest. But I'm glad you got to pop in. Do you think the film Ed Wood is problematic with regards to trans-related stuff, Bill Murray's character especially? I haven't watched Ed Wood since the 90s, so I don't know. I don't remember at all. I barely remember the movie. I completely forgot Bill Murray was in it, so I don't have an answer to that. Do you think Legends of Tomorrow has good representation? I thought it did. Yeah. Have I seen Inside Job on Netflix? Nope. Have I seen Pig? Nope. I don't even... It's like you're just throwing words out at me now. Inside Job, Pig, Midnight Mass. You're making some of these up. I know you're not, but it's... first live I've caught in a long time. I'm very excited for my first Pride Out, though sadly... My first Pride out, although sadly single. Unrelated question for you, Vera. Have I read any Doctor Who books? I have. Unfortunately, the only one I've read I didn't like. I did a review about 2 years ago. It is on the main channel. I forget what the name of the book was. The name of the video is Doctor Who and the Condescending Novel. I had a lot of issues with that book. Well, no, I had one big issue with that book, but it was big. Two-sentence horror stories. It's surprisingly progressive. Have not heard of that. Vera's hair is looking luscious. Oh, thank you, Meg. Reminds me, The Fires of Pompeii comes out in July. Lovely. I'm a person who believes in the good stuff and bad stuff and everything. So, like, I'll give Hollywood a lot of crap, but I like that LA lit up City Hall with Batman's logo when passed on. I didn't even know about that. Benedict and Martin to cameo Sherlock and John in the Great Mouse Detective remake. That'll be entertaining. Now that Winnie the Pooh is in the public domain, someone's made a slasher movie. Yeah, I know about that. I'll never watch it, but can I be honest? I'm glad it exists. I'm a big supporter of public domain. Public domain is wonderful. And it has been a long time since a major property has slipped into public domain. So I'm all for it. Will it be good? Probably not. Will I watch it? Hell no. But I'm glad it exists. Because I support public domain. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to back up and address the question that got asked earlier. If I had the power to control DC, how would I fix it? You know how I'd fix it? I'd put its oldest characters into the public domain. I would put Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman in the public domain. And I'm dead serious. I think that freeing up those characters to let anyone with an idea, and before you say, oh, it'll flood the market, like, yes, but the good stuff rises to the top. Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain. We still get great Sherlock Holmes stuff. Dracula's in the public domain. We get great Dracula stuff. Lovecraft's in the public domain. Thank God, because we can have great Lovecraftian stuff divorced from his racist nonsense. Public domain is a wonderful thing. And I think it can revitalize a property, especially when it currently exists in the hand of a company that don't seem to know what the hell to do with it.
Would you end this stream with a performance of one of the doctor's speeches as your own incarnation?
I would have had to have planned that in advance. I'm gonna be too self-conscious trying to do that at this point. So
I'm not drunk enough.
you can thank Sonny Bono for the extension of copyright. I can thank a lot of people, mainly Disney. Sonny Bono may have pushed for it, but Disney, yeah.
Thoughts on Christopher Walken's casting as the Emperor in Dune Part 2? Oh, I forgot about that. I don't know. I didn't think Dune was as good as literally everybody else on the planet thought it was, so I don't know. I was zoning out in the middle. Then I heard Dracula. Hello, I'm awake. The children of the night. Such sweet music they make. What do you think of the Doctor as Nyarlathotep?
I don't understand the question.
Why are characters like Squidward and the Grinch considered relatable? Because sometimes you're just done. Sometimes you look outside your window and you just go, nope, and just don't want anything to do with any of it. That's relatable. It just is. Nightmares. Thank you for the super chat. Squeaking in at the last minute there. How does one come to terms with being trans, or at least stop the negative self-talk around it? Sorry for so serious a question. That is a difficult question to answer, especially for me, because I didn't have a lot of self-hatred, self-loathing, or talk down to myself over the idea that I was trans. The reason my own transition was as slow as it was because of a lack of severe dysphoria about being masculine. So I've talked about this elsewhere, but most trans people have a pretty strong dysphoria around, the body they're born with. And it feels wrong, and they push away from that so hard that in a way that propels them in their trans journey, whether they end up as, the opposing gender, as non-binary, whatever, but they are pushing away from where they started very hard. I never did that. And so my own gender journey has been a lot slower and a lot more meandering, but not because of any kind of self-loathing. I mean, the main thing, honestly, is get a therapist, get a gender affirming therapist, someone who knows about that particular issue for you, and who will work with you through that. That's probably the single biggest advice I can give. But other than that, here's the one thing that I always say to anyone who's having trouble embracing themselves. The thing to remember is that if you are trans, that will never go away. That will never change. And pretending that you aren't, or trying to push it down, or trying to hide it, will only make your life harder and less joyous. But the one thing it will absolutely never do is change that thing about you or make it not so. Being trans, especially if you don't have a support system, can be very, very difficult. But if that's who you are, you will always be better embracing and living as yourself than as something you're not. Because whatever else you try to be, the fact that you are keeping something back and suppressing something about yourself is always, always going to cloud and dampen and weigh on every joy that life would otherwise give you. Being in the closet is drowning. It is slowly drowning, and you can't breathe. And getting your head above water doesn't suddenly mean that life is wonderful, magical, and rainbows, but it's where you have to start. You have to be able to breathe. If anything else is ever going to get better, you have to be able to be. So, I know it's hard. And it can be hard for a lot of reasons. It can be hard for logistical reasons. It could be hard for reasons of internalized confusion or ideas that you haven't been able to shake off. There's a lot of reasons why it can be hard. But the way in which it will be hard while being who you are is less than the way life will be hard while you try and clamp that down. So, I am going to hope for the best for you and find a therapist. I mean, it sounds cliche, but really, really, truly. So I hope that helped. John Vinyls, one more super chat. Have you watched The Country Bears from 2002? No. That one falls under the category of you'd have to pay me to watch it. Which Doctor Who logo is your favorite? I do not know. I'll probably do a ranking of those eventually, but I don't know off the top of my head. If Daniel Radcliffe and Elijah Wood got together, would they do a movie or a TV show? I feel like they'd do TV together. And I am going to wrap it up in just a minute, I think. A piece of the New 52 I thought was really good was the Earth 2 series. I really liked that it takes the OG versions of the Flash and Green Lantern and gives them a different spin. Like, I'm sure there's some good stuff that came out of the New 52. I never read it. My OBS decided to get stupid on me there for a hot minute, so hopefully I'm still coming through. This is why I stay this right here. Thank you, Dharma. Do I watch any anime series? Not at present. Denis Villeneuve should do a Metropolis remake. That could be interesting. I am going to wrap it up. We've gone a half hour over the normal. And yes, thank you for the reminder, Carowin. Thank you very much. Oh, good night, Meg. And yeah, I am going to wrap up now. So tomorrow is going to be Twitch. It's probably going to be, God, why can't I think of it? Secret of Monkey Island. Again, I was looking at the stuff in my Steam library and trying to think, do I have like an appropriately gay game to play? And I don't, so I'll probably just stick with what I've got. Because a foppish cabin boy pirate it's probably honestly the gayest thing I've got. So that'll be Council of Geeks on Twitch, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And also tomorrow will be the next Take-Two Doctor Who review. It will be on the finale of Series 11, Battle of Ranskor Av Kolos. And Saturday is going to be on the BBC because of more stuff with them. Yay! I got to spend tomorrow diving into that and throwing a script together. So, but that's what's going on, and thank you all very much for joining me and kicking off Pride. So, the thing that I really want you to remember, and this is important, and I know I say it a lot, but I really, really need you to listen. You are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You, my friends, are the Council of Geeks. I am just privileged to be the one running the meetings. So until next time, this council is adjourned. My cavity!